Sick, bro.
What are we rolling?
We're rolling.
Shit,
No
we're
script or
rolling.
nothing.
Yeah, well, hey, raw dogging it, right?
Dude, Faded Crew. That's a sick shirt. Where'd you get that?
So Faded Crew is this homie out of Canada. He does he does all these super sick designs and stuff, and he's just passionate about the Harley industry. So he kind of just like pushes out cool merch, and I liked what he was pushing out. So he hit me up one day and he was like, "Hey man, you want to ride for Faded Crew?" And I was like, I mean, dude, you're always pushing out cool shit, and you want to rep for people doing cool shit, people that are passionate about things that you're passionate about, right? So
yeah, dude,
yeah,
that's sick, bro. Go ahead, sorry.
Oh, you're chilling. Yeah, that was pretty much it.
Have you heard of Captive Grip Co?
Yeah,
you have.
Yeah, I rep those guys too.
You rep them?
Yeah,
dude, that's so sick, bro. Because which you may have heard of him through Jay Brew, which he's friends with my buddy Tristan, but. Dude, crazy story. I grew up in Reno, right? Like I was mentioning, and I lived down the street from a skate park called Idlewild Park.
Okay.
And it was like the OG spot back in the day in Reno for like, there's like a OG underground skate crew there that was like the scummiest, like hardcore skate crew.
Just what you would think about like a grummy skate. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I'm like 10 years old, bro, like skating. And it used to be
these dudes are like the shit.
Yeah. Well, it used to be my parents had to watch me, like supervise me while I was at the park. But I got old enough to where, and I was at the park so much that I started to have some older homies that would look after me at the park. And so my parents would let me go down by myself, and I'd be at the park skateboarding there. I mean, there's guys freaking smoking weed and like cussing and like doing all this crazy shit. But I never engaged in none of that, but I was always interested in being cool with these guys and like making friends with the older guys because I looked up to them and their skating.
For sure.
But also I wanted to gain the older guys' respect because I knew they'd look out for me.
Definitely.
And so there was always these little kids at the park or whatever that would snake you and get in your way or whatever, and all the skaters would get pissed.
Definitely.
But I was the one little kid who was street smart and knew to stay out of the people's way and shit.
Yep.
And so the older OGs would like respect me and look after me.
Oh, yeah.
And that was like one of my earliest moments at the skate park. But one of those OGs was my homie Tristan.
The dude that owns Captive?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, sick.
He owns Captive Grip Co. now, but back then, I mean, he was a few years older than me, but I was just a little kid and he was a little older than me. He ended up moving away to Cali to go work for X Games, like building the skate parks and stuff.
Oh, sick.
And so he did that for a while, but basically I lost touch with him because I moved to Oregon and we didn't talk for like 8 years. And then I was out doing like long story, but I basically reached out to him and I was like, yo, bro, because I saw he was snowboarding all the time.
Yeah.
And I was like, dude, this guy must work at a resort or something.
Yeah. Living the lifestyle.
Yeah. So I messaged him like, yo, bro, it's been a minute since we've spoke. And I was like, where do you work at? He's like, dude, I work at this resort called Sugar Bowl. He's like, dude, you should come out. I'll put a good word in for you or something. And I was like, bro, I'm there, dude.
Oh, sick.
And so I ended up going out to Tahoe and reuniting with this homie who used to like look after me at the skate park way back in the day. And then we hit it off, became like really, really good friends. And he introduced me to all of his whole crew up there on the mountain. And I ended up doing 2 seasons up there and just snowboarding, hanging with the homies, partying, shredding, just shenanigans.
For sure.
The whole 9 yards. And that was just like some of the most fun times of my freaking life, bro. Yeah. But shout out to Tristan because he's an OG.
Shout out to Tristan because he's an OG and he hooks me up if you guys need some grips and stuff for your motorcycles. Captive Grip Co. is the one. He sent me 2 sets for the Harley, got me purple ones and red ones to match the Harley. And I love them. I think they're sick. So good on Tristan, following his dreams, doing that shit. And I relate to that a lot, bro. Like I spent, I think 6 or 7 seasons as a ski bum, working up in Park City. And then after the season would end here, I'd go out to Mount Hood and then, do the spring skiing out there. So I definitely hold a special place in my heart like that for the mountain, like some of the best times, opened so many doors, learned so much about myself. And you know how it is as a ski bum, bro. You're not making a lot of money. You're kind of just like scraping by. But as long as you're on the mountain with your boys and you're getting those power turns and you're enjoying life, that's like some of the best times you could ever have and ever imagine, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. It was a blast, man. And like, honestly, the risk that I took to go work at that ski resort is what led me on a whole nother trajectory and a whole nother path. Cause I was up there with the homies making snowboard videos because I thought it was fun, thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Because even like I mentioned, as I was a little kid at the skate park, I always saw the older guys filming skate videos and I was like, man, that's sick.
Definitely.
And so I started just filming snowboard edits with the homies and doing little YouTube vlogs and stuff, and was always into that. I was always a fan of like vlogging and all that stuff. And I guess that risk that I took to go work at that ski resort was like the beginning of the whole journey of getting into videography.
For sure.
So I'm like stoked I did that in a whole, and also made like some really good friends up there too.
Definitely. That's the cool thing about like the mountain, dude, is like if you're up there, everybody's up there for the same reason. You're all just trying to enjoy life and trying to just escape reality, you know, and like just enter that flow state of mind, I guess, just solely live in the moment. And that's why I love the mountain. And my best friends, I've met them all up there, you know, all my very best friends that I hold closest, nearest, dearest to my heart, I've shared those special times with up on that mountain. So
sick.
Yeah, it's the mountains. I don't know. They bring people together, you know, and there's a certain type of energy up there that's unmatched. You won't find it anywhere else.
That's what it is, man. It's the energy. I don't know. It makes you feel alive.
Definitely.
And it makes like, I don't know. It's funny because, dude, have you ever met somebody that's lived in the mountains for a long period of time?
Oh yeah. Well, they have a different look in their eye. They're like, you can tell that they're straight living like through their spirit and their soul, you know, because people that live up in the mountains, they're chopping wood, they're making fires. I mean, the real mountain living, not like the bougie, like living in a mansion. Like the dude's living by the creek in his little cabin with his cutting up his firewood. Those dudes, and you have conversations with those people, and they're the most rooted people, you know, the people that just toss the phone, they're rooted, and those people are getting so much more rare. I feel like back when we were kids or back when we were younger, you would meet those people a lot more and have those deeper, more rooted conversations. And now it seems like it's going away. It doesn't feel like there's as many people like that anymore, you know?
Yeah, exactly, dude. It's crazy. Times are changing, man.
Times are definitely changing.
I was thinking this earlier, and like I watch this guy, Andy Frisell, a lot, and he always talks about like, dude, if you can't adapt with the times as they're changing, then you're gonna get run over.
You're gonna get left behind.
Yeah, you're gonna get run over.
Things are what's he say? He has a song called "Changes," basically talking about things are always changing. They're never gonna be the same. It's like it's not necessarily a bad thing, you know. Like, but you're right. You have to, in this world, this day and age, if you can't adapt to change, you're going to be left in the dust.
Yeah. If you kind of get too used to your certain situation or your circumstances, and you're like, it's almost like a comfort zone thing, or you're like, oh, it's fine. Like, especially like even with TikTok, for example, you're like, yeah, TikTok's a luxury. Like, it'll never go away or whatever.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, it's just crazy how quick that stuff could be gone.
Yeah. And honestly, it's probably good. Like if we got rid of TikTok, like it's crazy to me that out of the past 8 years, the 4 years or whatever, all this crazy stuff has happened. There's been on both sides of the spectrum, it's all political and it's all this and it's all that. But really what's been happening is like our freedoms have been jeopardized, you know, and nobody says anything until TikTok gets banned. And then once TikTok gets banned, then people finally lose their shit and lose their minds. And it's like, that is crazy. We've been through all this stuff. And then people finally start to wake up and realize that their freedoms are being compromised and taken away when a social media platform gets taken away. It just goes to show how like addicted our society is to all that shit.
Bro, it's insane.
And we're all guilty of it, 100%.
Bro, back in 2020, everybody just bends right over and puts a mask on and does all this shit that they're told to do.
Yeah.
And not even think twice about it.
Yeah.
No one even said shit, and they're like giving up their freedoms and like being told and convinced to take vaccines and do all this other crazy shit. And like, then it all turns out that it didn't even matter in the first place. Like it was all a bunch of bullshit. And like, I mean, it mattered, but it was all planned. It was all in like,
it's all proof too. Like this conversation, if we were saying this in 2020, we would be straight taken off the internet.
Yeah.
And if we said it in person to people that didn't really align with our side, and when I say our side, I think to people thinking to themselves, like, does this make sense?
Yeah.
Like if you asked yourself, does this make sense? And it didn't make sense, you're on this side. If you didn't ask yourself, does this make sense? Then you're a sheep,
Yeah.
But it's really sad that we had to go through that whole 2 years, and it completely changed the trajectory of life.
Yeah.
It was like the new world order. And what's crazy is the people like us that were asking questions when things didn't make sense. Like, why are you guys pushing a vaccine to the masses after like 3 months of research? Don't things have to be researched for 5 to 7 years before you should like push it to the masses? And then goes to show all the conspiracy theorists that were saying, hey, this doesn't make sense. Like, I don't feel comfortable with this. And we're getting demonized. Like, you don't care about your grandma. You don't care about your grandpa. Like, you're going to kill somebody. And it's like, that was wild. That was crazy. But it all comes out at the end that the conspiracy theorists were right the whole time.
Yeah. That's the thing is, so dude, I feel like even looking back on it, like, I felt in my soul that something wasn't right.
100%.
And I was like, I'm not buying into this shit.
100%.
And I'm so glad that I made that decision and didn't let it affect my life. And I almost made it a point to revolt against what they were trying to stop us from doing, which was being our best self.
Definitely.
And that was the year I bought a camper van and was like, fuck you guys. 100%. I'm going to go snowboard, do sales, become an entrepreneur, just make videos, camp out by the river and have a good ass time. And you guys can do whatever you're going to do.
You guys can trip. Yeah.
The bright side though, I think this is a beautiful part about everything that we had to go through and everything that's going on in the world. Is I have seen, especially in the more in the last year or two, I've seen more of a bright side starting to come out of more and more people starting to wake up.
For sure.
More and more people speaking their truth. There's more of this stuff coming out. We're starting to like realize more about life and who we are and like what Definitely. We're here for and all of these different things. And I don't know, I've just completely changed my whole perspective and mindset, but I also try to think positive too, because with the way that the world's going, it's very negative and like gets you down. But then you meet certain people and it almost kind of gives you hope, or you see certain things on the internet and you're like, man, like there still is a glimmer of hope out there, just a little glimmer of hope.
100%.
And sometimes that's all we really need to get through like a really tough time.
Definitely.
Because I really do think that the world is going through a major change or a major shift. And I think that these evil people that are in control are starting to lose control. And I like to entertain the thought that there is a world that could exist where it's peace and happiness and love. And it doesn't have to be all about money and greed and evil and that stuff.
Definitely.
So like, that's one thing that helps me, like, just try to stay positive with all the stuff going on in the world. It's like, there is hope. There is a glimmer of light there.
Definitely.
So we're not completely screwed.
100%.
And we're still here standing.
We're still here.
They thought
100%.
The world was going to end in 2012, but it's 2025. I mean, they had Black Ops 2 Nuketown 2025 that looked like a futuristic place.
For sure.
We're still here in 2025, bro. The world hasn't ended.
100%. Dude, yeah, I love that. And I love what you said about having hope for the future, because you're right, dude. Like, if you go around your life and you solely judge the world off what you see on the internet, you're going to think the world's a horrible place. And the crazy thing is, bro, is there is a lot of people that just sit in their basement and watch CNN and consume propaganda. All right, so we had a little camera overheat, but all good. I don't remember where we're at. But yeah, so you finished off basically just talking about, the world we live in now. And Even though sometimes it's hard to find positivity, it's still definitely out there. And I love that because it's true. If you just sit on your phone all day and you scroll and you read all these crazy articles and you sit in your basement and you watch CNN, you're really just consuming propaganda like to the fullest extent. And if you base your whole worldview and judgment off the things that you see on the internet, you're going to have such a negative view of the world. And there's so many people like that right now. But if we all turned off our social medias and we all went outside and we solely just like based our world judgment off the interactions we have with other people, we would realize that like, I still feel like the world, there's still 90% good out there. Yeah. 9 out of 10 people I meet, I'm like, that's a cool person. Like, I think that's a good person, you know? And then you meet one asshole and you're like, there's definitely still assholes. Yeah. You know? There's still some dicks out there, but
for sure.
But yeah, you have to like, you can't judge the world based off all the shit we get fed and all the because they're doing it on purpose. Yeah. You know? So judge the world based off your actual in life interactions and experiences. You know?
Dude, and another thing, bro, I really believe that our thoughts create our reality. Like
100%.
I really do believe that the more good you think of and believe in, the more good you'll get.
100%.
The more good you'll see, and the more good people you'll come in contact with. And I don't know, if you think about it that way, there's a theory that our thoughts create our world. Mm-hmm. So like 100%. We think that we can't change the world because the world's so big and there's so many people, but whatever. But I believe that if we change our thoughts, we technically are changing the world because we are changing our own version of that world, which could send a ripple effect out to other people.
100%.
But it's cool to think about that. And also it's like you look back on your life and when you were in like a depressive state and how when you're down in the dumps, it seems like it's more and more and more.
Like, it feels like it's going to be like that forever.
Yeah, it feels like it's going to be like that forever. Yeah. And then you start to like notice more things that make you more depressed.
Yeah.
But then when you're happy and joyful and you're having a good day, and then all of a sudden a stranger waves at you,
and you're like, oh yeah, for sure.
And then all of a sudden you get 5 green lights in a row or something like that.
The law of attraction, bro.
Yeah.
The law of attraction is 100% real. And the positivity is, say you consume positivity all the time. It's great because you're going to project positivity and you get the ripple effect. If you're constantly consuming negativity and you're listening to bad music and like you're listening to negative people talk and complain, you're going to project the same energy, you know? And so, you're 100% right. And it's all up to the individuals. How we change the world is we change ourselves. You can't control me, I can't control you, but I can control myself and you can control yourself. So it's totally up to us. And if everybody focused on themselves and bettering themselves, that's how we change the world.
Yeah.
You know, dude, 100%.
I like what you said about music because I love music. I listen to a lot of music and I was born in 99, but I grew up with some really cool music in our generation, you know, like
definitely
all the best music.
Yep.
And so I love all different types. And I used to listen to a lot of really heavy like rap and stuff. Mm-hmm. And then one day I just realized, like, I started to pay attention to some of the lyrics and like the sounds, even the frequencies. Once I started to learn more about frequency, I started to pay attention to certain songs. And there's definitely music that is intentionally made with certain frequencies
100%
to program you to be in a certain frequency.
100%.
And dude, once I became aware of that, I started being more mindful of the frequencies that I was listening to.
Yep.
And bro, now I turn on my music, bro, and it's like an instant way to raise my frequency because I know exactly what music I need to listen to freaking get me back to where I need to be.
Definitely.
And now when I listen to that low vibration, low frequency music, I'm like, dude, what did he say? What's he talking about, bro? Yeah. It's like in some of these songs that are like mainstream and viral and they're talking about like evil stuff and just weird shit, you know? And I'm just like, that doesn't really align with me. I still love the music. I still love rap. I'm a little more selective, but dude, it's just crazy. Like once I became aware of that, like realizing how much music and just everything we consume, not just that, but everything we watch and listen to, everything. Yeah. How much it affects you, and like you basically become what you're consuming.
100%. And I've had to like relearn this. I'm 31 years old now, so I've gone through a lot of life, and I've gone through a lot of chapters and a lot of phases, you know. And once you hit your 30s, like you really start to realize like I got to lock in, you know, like, and I need to be you use mindful. You have to be mindful of what you're consuming, and being mindful is huge, because if you just go through your life and you're not thinking about things, then you're not really controlling your path. You know, when you're mindful, you can be aware of things, and you can make those changes that are necessary to put you on the path where you need to be, you know, so that's huge. And my girlfriend, she has a 3-year-old daughter, you know, and I'm stepdaddy, Gary. So I've learned a lot about mindfulness and being aware of things, because when you have a 3-year-old around, they're like little sponges. They absorb everything, bro. If you slip and you say, fuck, like they're going to say the same shit, you know? So, and just having, I like to think about whenever we have experiences, getting dubs, like getting W's, like, was that a positive experience? Because it sets the kid up for more positive experiences in the future. You know, if I take her out on the dirt bike and I go too hard the first time and she falls off, that's an L. She's not really going to grow from that. But if we go out and we have a good time and it was a positive experience, that's a W. And she like grows a passion and a love for it at that point. And it's the same thing with us. We're still absorbing and doing things, but we're much further into life. So it doesn't like affect us as much, you know, but it's the small steps. It's like, get a dub here, get a dub here, get a dub here, get a dub here. And eventually your life is going to be dubs, you know, but if you're in the mindset, even if you're 30 years old, of like, oh, I'm a victim. Oh, I can't do this because of this or this. You're going to get L's. You're going to get L's. You're going to get L's, and they're going to compound, and it just gets worse and worse. And you're the only person that can pull you up out of that. You know, like I'm the only person that can pull myself out of that. It's not up to anybody else. We can't blame it on any external sources. It's all internal. So
yeah, dude. And I think that's our testimony, because like you've been through it, I've been through it, my buddy Dalen's been through it.
Yep.
And if it weren't for that lowest of the low point, we 100%. Would have never been able to make it to where we're at now.
Exactly.
Like, because when we were in that lowest of the low point, we didn't even think that good, like a better life, it was even possible.
For sure.
And, you know, because there's just no hope at that point.
For
You're like,
sure.
You know, and then to be able to go through all that, learn that, overcome it, and then really get to see the result of that change and like get to see the positive that there really is, man, it's like such a good feeling. And also it helps you become stronger, and you know that you're never going to let yourself fall back down that far again.
100%.
And it's just, overall in the moment, it's like a really terrible experience, but it ends up being the best thing for you in the long run because of who it turns you into.
Definitely. And I think not everybody hits the rock bottom. You know, some people's lives are a little more set up or a little more casual than other people's lives. Some people don't have a support system. Some people have to go through life really just going off themselves. So once you hit rock bottom, you realize like, I am never coming back here again, you know, but it's good to hit rock bottom, because the darker the times, the brighter the light shines, you know, and you follow that light. And everybody, like, there's a lot of people that say like, only thing I want in life is to be happy. And it's like, that sounds great, but that's not how life is. Mm-mm. Life's not going to be happy and dandelions and shit all the time. You know, like you got to hit the bottom, and you're going to have peaks, and the peaks aren't going to last forever. So my mindset is, I'm not rock bottom. I'm not at the peaks. Don't stir on this and don't stir on that. Just be happy in the middle, like coasting, sailing. You know, if things aren't horrible, great. Like enjoy it. If things are great, don't like love it too much, because it's coming to an end eventually. You know, like things are always changing. Things don't stay the same forever. So if you're at a peak, it's eventually going to come down. If you're at a low, you're eventually going to come back up, and you always have to remember that balance. And sometimes when you're at a low, you don't feel like you get into such a bad spot that you don't feel like you even deserve a peak, you know? And that can be a hard mindset to break. But once you reflect internally and like realize that you're the only one in control of your future and yourself, that's like when something clicks and you're like, okay, well, it's time to start grinding, you know?
Yeah.
So I think it's really important to never give up, never lose hope, and always be optimistic, even if things aren't going how you want them to be. Like, don't stir on it. Don't victimize yourself. Be optimistic, because even if you are having a bad time and you're going through a hard time in life, if you victimize yourself and you're like, I fucking hate this, like this sucks, like my life is ruined, like no one's gonna want to be around that. But if you're low, bro, and you are able to pull out a light out of yourself and be like, yo, I am in a tough part of life. Like this shit, it's beating me right now. But you know what? I'm here for it. Yeah. Whatever I got to do, whatever lessons I have to learn in this time, I'm here for a reason, you know? And if you can have that mindset, people are going to want to surround themselves with you, even if you're at a low, you know? And that's when I feel like that's when you see the biggest dubs in people, is like at that time right there, where it's like they either choose to be the victim or they choose to like pull themselves up and get the shit done. You know?
Dude, that's awesome. And that brings up the point I want to make is like, for me, in my perspective, like all of the hard times that I had to go through, they prepared me for something, and they all happened for me. In the moment, you don't see that, but when you look back on your life in the bigger picture, it's pretty easy to see that everything happens for us, right?
Definitely.
But the biggest thing for me was going through the hardest points of my life was coming out of that and pulling myself out and gaining the perspective that if I could get through that, I could get through anything.
Yeah.
And so it always reverts back to gratitude. And I always think of gratitude, especially when I go through hard times, because if you can be present and grateful, no matter how your life is, whether it's way up here or way down here, if you can look at it with the right perspective and be grateful for every single moment, high or low, and be present in that moment and soak it up and you know, capitalize on it. What is it trying to teach you? What is it doing for you? What is it preparing you for? Being vigilant and paying attention to those things. And then when you're in the hard times, dude, it's like you freaking handle it with a whole nother confidence.
100%.
You're like, bro, I can hammer this, bro. I've done 10 times worse than this. This is just another hurdle. It's no big deal, because we always bounce back and we're always fine. We've survived this long. And we're still here, bro.
We're still here.
If I'm still standing here, then I can make it through anything.
100%.
And bro, that little shift, it makes you unstoppable, because now anytime something hard comes up or a hurdle comes up that tries to divert you or throw you off your course, you freaking handle it with ease, and then you're right back on course and you're just freaking cruising.
That's right.
And like, dude, since I've started to have that mindset and implement it, you just start to grow so fast. Your life happens really fast when you start to make that happen, because you look at everything like a hurdle, and a hurdle, you want to get over it quick.
Definitely.
Get it over with quick, and you start running towards the hurdles. Get them over with, because the quicker you get over that hurdle, the quicker you're at the next level, and then the next level, and then the next level. And obviously there's no end to the levels, but having that mindset and looking at it from a whole nother perspective, and then just running towards your problems and your hurdles, it accelerates your life like times 10, bro. It's crazy.
100%. And then people see it. They see that you made it through those hurdles. They seen it, you know? And those people are going to be curious and are going to be like, yo, dude, like, how'd you do that? Like, they're going to look at you different, you know? Because, I mean, you're different. You cut yourself different than other people do, you know? We all have our issues, you know? And everybody has a sad sob story. We could all sit here and victimize ourselves all day long. But at the end of the day, nobody really fucking cares.
Yeah.
Nobody cares, bro. Like, you could tell me the saddest, sobbiest, whiniest story ever, And like, there's very few people that I'm going to have real empathy for, you know, like there's some people that have really gone through some crazy shit in life.
Right.
And I would feel selfish if I put my problems in my life over theirs, you know,
Right.
and my problems are bigger than theirs because, bro, our problems compared to some people right now aren't shit.
None.
So it's not even fair to complain or whine about things. The only thing that we should do is have gratitude. Like, we wake up, if you got a roof over your head, if you got clean water, if you got a shower with some hot water, if you got a truck to drive to work, if you got a license, like, bro, you're living. Just with those things alone right there, there's so many people in this world that would trade our spots in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
You know? So sometimes, bro, life will throw us some shit, but it's still not shit compared to some other homies that are going through it, you know? So we have to wake up and we truly have to like list things and have gratitude. Like, as simple as the breath we breathe, that's what's keeping us alive and conscious right now, you know? And like, sometimes we have to be thankful for something as small as that.
Yeah.
You know, because some people didn't wake up with that breath today.
Yeah. Dude, some people didn't get a chance to wake up today. Not only that, man, we're existing on this floating rock at a 1 out of a billion trillion chance. And there's people that are out there upset about the traffic and the weather.
Yeah.
And we're here on this floating rock, dude, through space.
For sure.
And like, it's all about perspective. Again, it just brings back all about how you look at things, because if you have that gratitude and you're so grateful for everything you have, I like to think of this as the universe or God. I like to think of it as God. You're working together with God, and God wants you to have everything you've ever wanted.
For sure.
But I also think that you have to contribute to the world.
100%.
Too. And so you can't just be a taker. You can't just say, give me, give me, give me.
Definitely.
I like to think of it like buying a toy for a kid.
Yeah.
If the kid's like, oh man, this is the best toy ever, and they're grateful for it and they play with it, and it's like being grateful for what you already have. If God's if God is the one giving you the gift and you're grateful for that, he's going to be more likely to give you more gifts.
100%.
And it seems like if you're ungrateful, he's going to teach you a lesson as to why you should be grateful, like maybe humbling you or putting you through a hard experience to open your eyes to the gratitude that you have.
Definitely.
And for me, that's kind of what it was, is I was kind of just ungrateful and just pissed off at the world. And I had to go through this like super low time where I was really humbled, and I like had to open my eyes and be like, whoa, I actually am blessed, dude. I am grateful. There's a lot of people out there that have way less than I have. And by me being ungrateful for my situation, I'm basically slapping God's hand away when he's trying to hand me a gift.
100%. And it's good that you look at it like that, bro. There's one thing in this world that's going away, and it's the belief in God. And the more the belief in God goes away, the more evil that comes out of the world. You know, there's two forces. There's the devil and there's God. There's God's side or the other side, you know?
Yeah.
And I think it's important that people come out, and you don't have to be religious. You don't need to go to church every Sunday. You don't have to, like, the relationship with God is between you and God. My relationship with God is between me and God. We all have different purposes. We all have different jobs. We don't know what they are, but God does. Right. And as long as we say, hey, man, you take the reins. I don't know what I'm doing. Like, really, I have no idea what to do. But if you take the reins and you guide me and you give me the filling in my stomach with the Holy Spirit, I will listen. Mm-hmm. And that's like that's really all you have to do. The life is as simple as that, bro, is giving it's much bigger than us. If we think we're the God and we think we're in charge and we make all this stuff happen, that's crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Like,
there's no way.
We're not that guy. No. You know, the guy's up there. So
yeah.
I love when people talk about their relationship with God, because it's almost like politics. Like, people are scared to talk about their relationship with God nowadays.
Yeah.
And I think that needs to be cool again, because we don't know, bro.
Yeah.
Like the man upstairs knows what's up, and there's a whole plan for all this shit.
Exactly.
You know?
And I think the closer you are to God, the more you give sympathy towards others too.
100%.
And in their journey, because everybody I've noticed has their own journey and their own story or their own testimony for what they believe in. And who am I to judge somebody else on their belief or their journey when I have nothing to do with that and they don't even have control over that? Yep. That's just their journey. That's none of your business.
Yep.
So I don't necessarily agree with a lot of how the world is, how religions are like kind of forced upon people, and also certain religions and certain people look at other people differently.
Definitely.
But I like the idea of, and so even the negative times in our life, we can look back and find the gratitude in that and how it did something positive for us.
Definitely.
And so if you think about it, like you mentioned earlier, the balance, the yin and the yang, we have to have the evil to balance out the good. And with the world the way it is right now, with all the wars and all the hate and all the stuff we've had to go through since our generation, all the stuff we've had to go through in the last decade, I think that the evil has been in control of the world, and I feel like the devil's had the reins, you know?
Yeah.
But on the other hand, that little glimmer of hope I was talking about earlier, I believe in my heart, I think there's a shift happening. I think the evil is losing control of people in the world. And I think that God is coming in. God is here, basically. He's come in to take control and balance things out.
For sure.
And
I'm a firm believer, bro. Like on the politics side, today's inauguration day, and Donald Trump is getting inaugurated. And a lot of people, at least through the media and social media and watching the news and your phone, you would think Trump is the worst person on the planet. But when you go through real life and you talk to people and have discussions, you'll learn that like a lot of people don't think that about that guy, you know? And there's overwhelming evidence that that's what America wanted. And I truly believe it was God's side or the other side. And the guy who won is a man of God. He's a family man. He loves his country. And it just goes to show that there's an awakening, an overwhelming support for the right side.
Yeah.
You know?
Bro,
and that's not meant to be like all politics or anything, but that's truly like what I see. I really see people waking up. And if you are a person that goes out and you talk to people in life and you have conversations, and everybody from different walks of life should be able to come down, sit down, and have conversations face to face, regardless of what their beliefs are or anything like that. That's where we're lacking right now. And we've had to have some tough conversations, and more conversations have been happening, and it's kind of woken a lot of people up. Yeah. And I think that's really important, you know?
I think so too. Like I really do. They one thing we've learned from everything we've gone through in the last 5 years is whoever is in control of the world, they are against our best interest. Yeah. They don't want us to be at touch with ourselves, at touch with the earth. They don't want us to be healthy. They don't want us to be living our best lives. They don't want us to be independent, running our own businesses, becoming successful. They don't want, it's like we're at a war versus the evil, right? It's like the opposition doesn't want that. I think that the more that you actually win, the more that the opposition doesn't stand a chance.
100%.
Like sticking up to the opposition, like God always wins.
100%.
You know?
No, I completely agree, bro. I think before in the last 4 years or the last 8 years, it's been a really weird time. You know, there's been times where people have just gone completely silent. They might have a belief and they might have a side that they're on, but they wouldn't talk because of the pushback, you know, and people didn't talk for 2, 3, 4 years. And it really put us in a really bad spot. It really separated the country. It really pulled everybody apart. People weren't having conversations. People thought they were going to be demonized or or canceled if they were on a certain side, or they talked about certain things, or felt a certain way, or expressed a certain position. But in the last 6 months, it's all completely changed, bro. People are coming out and they're talking about what they're passionate about. They're talking about what their beliefs are. And I think it really is like a great awakening, bro. I think people are straight up waking up and like figuring shit out. And everybody who doesn't have a position or doesn't have a side, you should do your research, do your homework, look within yourself, and just be aware of what's going on.
Yeah.
Because if you can see it, you can see it plain as day.
Yeah.
But if you can't see it and you're blinded by it, you don't really know what's going on.
Right.
You know? And I feel like I can see it. I feel like there's it's very clear, you know, black and white of what's going on right now.
Yeah. If you can't see it, like, and I give people sympathy because it's not all their fault because they don't know any better. Like a lot of people are just doing the best with the information that they were given or taught or raised with. But for me, bro, I've completely had, I would say, a spiritual awakening that kind of like opened my eyes to just the truth. And I don't know, I feel like if you don't know what's going on in the world, if you're not close with God, if you don't really know who you are, if you look for the answers, you will find them.
Yeah.
Because I kind of found the answers without really knowing. Like subconsciously, my soul was seeking the answers, but I wasn't aware enough to know what it really meant.
Yeah.
Until I went through certain things in my life that I was kind of seeking out the truth, and it led me to the answers that I was looking for. And so I feel like there's a lot of people in the world that are lost right now, and man, I don't blame them.
For sure.
You know, but I also believe that if you search deep within yourself, eventually you will find the answer, or your heart, your intuition will lead you down the right path.
100%. I feel like you have to let your pride down a little bit. We don't know everything.
Right.
And you have to admit that to yourself. Like, I don't know shit, you know, like you learn something all the time and you're always leveling up, and you'll learn some shit and you'll level up and you're like, oh yeah, I feel pretty good right now. But then you'll realize the next level, like you don't know shit about that, you know? And what's really helped me in my mind is putting the pride aside, letting myself know that I don't know what's best. I don't know, but praying to God and saying, hey man, I have no idea what's going on. I don't know what to do. And just please take the reins, please guide me. That's a huge release of your pride.
Yeah.
You know? And I think more people need to let go of their pride and kind of give the reins to God or the universe or whatever that higher power is that they might believe in.
Right.
You know, our pride hurts us. Mm-hmm. It's good to have a little bit of pride, but being too prideful can destroy us, you know?
Right. Yeah, bro. I like to think of this. This taught me the theory of this taught me the principle of letting go was this analogy, and it's the song Jesus Take the Wheel.
Yeah.
And I like
Carrie Underwood, baby.
Yeah, exactly. Carrie Underwood. I like to think that we're in a car. God's driving us to where we need to go. Yeah. He said, God, take me here, right? And he's like, all right, I'm going to take you where you need to go.
Or you're driving, but he's putting up the road signs.
Or he's putting up the road signs.
Yeah.
Could be that. The analogy I like to say is for a lot of times I feel like we want to be in control of everything. We want to control every aspect of our lives.
Definitely.
And that was me, because I had to learn the principle of letting go. And I like to think of the analogy of Jesus is driving, God is driving the car, and he's like, I know where we need to go. I'm taking you there. And you're reaching over, jerking the wheel saying, no, we need to go this way. And I don't know about you, but if I'm driving and somebody touches my wheel, I'm going to smack their hand and say, don't ever touch my wheel again.
100%.
And so God knows where we're headed. We maybe can't see that destination yet. So that maybe that's the whole point, is we don't need to see, we just need to trust and have faith, because all we need to see is what's right here, right now, and leave it up to God to take us where we need to go, and stop trying to control it and say, no, we need to go this way. God's like, no, I'm in control and I'm going to take you where you need to go.
Yeah.
And I like to think of that analogy for just like, you know, feeling the need for like always needing to control everything, every outcome, people's perspectives, trying to control how people think of you, trying to control certain outcomes and relationships and all these different things. And then the moment that you let go and just have faith, bro, it's almost like something magical happens. You have a sense of peace wash over you.
Huge weight lifted.
Huge weight, because you've got all this anxiety of all of these things that you've been trying to control, and you weren't the one in control of them in the first place. So the second you let go and stop trying to control, things just start freaking rolling, dude. Or it falls into place, or it works out. But there's always a lesson in there every time.
I agree 100%. And speaking about lessons, like Jesus take the wheel, God's in control of the vehicle. God has a funny sense of humor, and we might be in the passenger seat jerking on the wheel, and he might be like, all right, let's take that turn, you know, and you're going to go down a whole nother little path. And he just let it happen because he wants you to learn a lesson, you know? And that's what I felt from my life. You know, there's been a lot of times where God's in control, you know, like he's doing his thing, but then I'm like, let's go this way. Like, I'm prideful. I want to do this, like go off the path, you know, and he lets me. And there's always a lesson to be learned from it. There's like something happens, you know, and I don't know. I've had a lot of miracles. I've had a lot of messed up things happen. I've had, I don't know, so many different lessons, but I feel like a lot of them has been from God's sense of humor, you know, because I wanted to control things, or I wanted things to be a certain way. And he kind of was just like, nah, it's not going to be like that. Like, I'll let you kind of control it for a little bit, but you're going to come to a realization that that's like not how it's supposed to be, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know, unless like you have experienced that, or you're going through that, like you probably never understand, like, I don't know, you probably wouldn't relate to that, you know?
Right. Yeah, dude, it's funny. We all have our own experience. We all experience things in different ways, but the things that we experience kind of what bring us together in a way. Cause like you and I feel like we relate to each other because of certain things we've had to go through in our lives.
Yeah.
And it's like, I also think that you meet certain people for certain reasons too. Like everything happens for a reason. I believe in that.
100%.
So when you meet somebody, you don't want to get too attached to them, because they could just be in your life for a certain season. Definitely. To teach you a certain lesson or to add something to your life, and then it's time to let them go.
Yep.
Or there's certain people who are meant to stay and be there for a long time.
Yeah.
And I had to learn that lesson the hard way as well, with being attached to people, as well as like when the universe and God was telling me it was time to move on, I was scared to let go, because I was scared that if I let go, that it wouldn't be replaced with something better. So like I had to put that trust in that letting go of what's no longer serving me is actually creating space for the new thing to replace it that is in my best interest.
100%.
And like that was another just amazing lesson that I'm just like really grateful to have learned.
That's a great one, dude. Like I went through that lesson a lot this year. Like I got in some trouble this last year. You know, I lost my license for a year. I actually just got it back this week. Whoop, whoop. But during this year, it was really hard, man. Like not having a license, you don't really realize what you have until it's gone. You don't realize how much freedom you have until you don't have a license, you know? And not only that, like losing something that I was one of the main creators of was the team I was on, you know, and we all kind of had some disagreements and ended up separating because people weren't seeing eye to eye about things, you know, and that humbled me and taught me a lot that some things come and some things go, you know, and some things come into your life and they don't last forever. They come in, like you said, they come in, you learn something from it, you get taught a lesson. You might think it's going to last a lot longer. It might get cut short. And then like you're left thinking like, now what? You know, now what? But then time starts to go on, the old thing fades, and then you have new things and new opportunities and new doors open. And then you just dive into those head first, just like you did the last one. But you never forget the last lessons you learned and you apply them to the next ones, you know?
100%. And you get better and better every time. And then you look back on the course of your life and you're like, wow, everything was for my best interest because I kept getting better every time. And there was always a lesson. But I also think that if you don't find the lesson, then you're going to keep getting the same result
100%.
over and over and over again until you finally get the lesson.
Yeah.
And then you get to move on.
Yep.
But dude, a lot of people ask me, I get asked all the time, like, oh, why don't you work for the Muscle anymore? Like, why aren't you hanging with the Diesel brothers anymore? And, you know, that opportunity was amazing, bro. Like, I'm so grateful to have met those guys and been given a chance to come in and work with them.
Yeah.
And all of the adventures they took me on and everything that I got to do with them. Forever grateful. And another thing is the exposure and environment that I was able to be a part of, and like the information and everything that I was in the room with and got to absorb.
Some of the best creators in the world.
Some of the best creators, best entrepreneurs, some of the best people in the world. I got to be around them and absorb them, and also get the understanding that does exist. Like it is real. Like
it's obtainable. It's not only real.
Yeah,
it's possible for you to do it too.
Yeah.
Know?
So the gig with the Muscle taught me a lot. It was an amazing thing for me, and it just so happened that it was time to move on. Mm-hmm. And the thing is working with the Muscle actually pushed me in the direction of starting my own business. And then I went out and started my own business, and then went through this whole tough period where I was like, oh no, what did I do? You know,
yeah.
I thought I missed out on something, or thought I lost something great or whatever. But really what it was the opportunity with the Muscle was meant to serve me for what it was meant to serve me for. Mm-hmm. And then it was time to let go and move on to the next thing. And so at first I was scared to let go of that opportunity, like the scarcity mindset, like, oh man, like this is a once in a lifetime gig. Like I'm never going to find something better.
Yeah.
And I went through kind of a dark time after working with the Muscle.
That can be a scary time. Like we talked about earlier.
Yeah.
Peaks and lows. You know, when you come out of a peak, you can go straight to a low. That's a big change.
Yeah. So that kind of happened for me, and I had to do some soul searching in there. But in that soul searching, it actually led me down the path of getting where I actually wanted to go ultimately in the bigger picture of things. But I didn't realize that I had to go through those things in order to get to where I'm at now, which I actually did get something that I believe is better, because now I'm in a better situation. I'm running my own business. I don't have to work for anybody. There's a lot of these positives that in the moment when I lost the gig with the Muscle, I was like, oh no, it's over. It's over for me. That's the end of Chan Shreds. And it's still kind of weird for posting on my social media, because people are like, oh, like he's not in helicopters anymore, or this or that. But at the same time, bro, everything happens for a reason. There's seasons, and, you know, people and things and opportunities are meant to be in your life for a certain amount of time. Definitely. And then to teach you something or to advance you in some kind of way, which this opportunity was 1,000 different ways that it advanced my life.
Definitely.
And then I had to just be grateful for that, grateful for what it did for me, and then be willing to let go of that and open up myself to what I was being prepared for, you know, the next step, which was starting my own business, which then led me to creating some amazing new relationships with new guys that, you know, put me in an amazing spot to set up a life that I ultimately desire. So it was hard to see in the moment, but that whole full circle thing was all a very positive thing for me. And I'm just eternally grateful for it.
That's awesome. It's good that you see it like that too, because there's a lot of people with a different mindset where it would go the other way, like where you realize like okay, this was a lesson for me. This was an opportunity, you know, and you transitioned into doing your own thing, and you made the best of the situation, where a lot of people would be like it's over for me, and it would have ended there for them, you know? So that right there just separates you from so many other people, you know?
Yeah.
What do you think like the biggest lesson you learned with those, or like what's the best piece that you took away from that whole experience?
Fucking dog. Dude, it's so hard for me to pick apart one single lesson that was the best thing, because honestly, the whole year and a half that I was surrounded by them, dude, it changed every single aspect of my life.
Yeah.
And I mean that in a big way, but just lessons I learned about business, personal development, taking care of yourself and how important that is.
For sure.
I learned very important lessons about having a strong mindset. You know, also the lesson I mentioned earlier about the perspective on life, and the perspective on the things that you go through, and the perspective on not being a victim and taking charge of your life, and really deciding how you get to see the world. Definitely. Instead of being a victim of it, deciding that I'm gonna feed myself better. I'm going to feed myself better thoughts, better information. I'm going to surround myself with better people, better environment, because all those little things really do compound into the bigger picture. And being around all those successful dudes really taught me a lot about what's really possible. And it showed me that it's really obtainable, and that those are just normal guys. And all that they do differently than everybody else is their daily habits. They wake up at a certain time, they get out of bed, they make their bed, they do some sort of physical activity, they take care of themselves, and they work long hours. They're basically intense. They live intense lives. So every aspect is intense. Hanging out with their family is intense. Going hard on business is intense. Yeah. When they go to sleep, they sleep freaking hard. When they're in the gym, they're going hard. Yeah. When they're writing in their journal, they're going hard. Definitely. When they're out having fun, they're going hard. Definitely. And so that was probably the biggest thing I learned from being around those guys, is they just go hard. They live at a high intensity level, and it all comes down to your daily habits, those small little things, because it's those small little things that compound into the big success that 100%. Everybody sees. Like, how did that guy get there? Well, it took a million steps. Yeah. A million tiny little steps, just basically adding these tally marks to the board of all these little things you're crossing off the list throughout the day, and, you know, keeping a good mindset. And then also, you know, when you're going through the freaking hard times, like being able to power through and stay positive. Not let it break you. Yeah. So that's a couple of the things, but man, being around those guys definitely taught me a lot.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's good to recognize, man. Like we were talking about absorbing earlier, and like little sponges, and we're sponges, bro. Like whatever experiences we have, how we mold ourselves is what we eat, what we listen to, what we watch, how we talk to people, how we let people talk to us. Like it's so many different pieces and variables that come together, and you have to bring them all to one spot to mold yourself, you know? And this year, with losing my license and having to separate from something that was my passion project, really put me in a hard spot. And I had to recognize that, and I had to adapt to it, and I had to figure out how I was going to pull myself up. So what do? You start going to the gym. You start eating better. You start, like I said, just consuming more positivity instead of going home and playing Xbox or whatever. Like go home, and even if it's a podcast talking about life and talking about things and psychology or whatever it might be, it's like as long as you're consuming things to put you in an upward trajectory, then it compounds and it keeps getting better and better. Once you start consuming things to just keep you stagnant or even like drop you down, it's going to reflect right in your life, you know? And I don't know, life's a trip, man. It's crazy. We all go through so many chapters, and we think we know so much, but then we get humbled and we get reminded that we don't know shit. You know, we're kind of just here, just living. You know,
dude, it's so cool, man. I saw this Instagram post, and another thing, dude, the more positive you focus on, the more you get. And it's even as simple as your Instagram algorithm. The more positive stuff that you engage with on your Instagram, the more you're going to see.
It's going to feed you. Yep.
And so this morning, the algorithm fed me this video about this guy talking about how us humans are here on Earth for a certain reason. And that reason is just to gather information.
Yeah.
So if you think about it that way, bro, if we go through a hard time, we learned a lesson and we gathered information. If we hit the highest point in our life and we're overloaded with joy and peace and happiness and, you know, things we never thought possible, that's information. And it's just like, quit trying to control everything. Just live life, go with the flow, and listen to your heart, follow your intuition. And you'll get to where you want to go.
100%.
And that's just awesome, man.
It's it's crazy. You're talking about like consuming information, and that's the only reason why we're here is, bro, it's true. Like literally the only reason why we're here on Earth is to consume information and pass it to the next cell. Like literally that's the only reason why we're here. You get born, you absorb, you learn, you pass it to your next one, your kids, and then you're out. And that's legitimately it, bro. Like we try to dissect life so much that we overcomplicate it. Everybody does. It's so easy to overcomplicate because there's so many different things and there's so many different routes. But if you have like three main things, like, okay, I need to learn, I need to be healthy, and I need to have gratitude and be a good person and pass on information. That's why we're here. That's why God put us on Earth, you know?
Yeah.
And once you realize that, it really takes a lot of weight off the shoulders, you know, because you don't feel like you have to like, I don't know, don't feel like you have to like reach for things and like take things. It's like, once you just realize that like you're kind of just here and you have experiences that are meant for you and God's going to test you with those, and you just accept that, life gets a lot easier.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, dude. And like earlier I was saying, like, there's a lot of people out there that are lost and don't have purpose. And that was me. I was one of those people that was lost and didn't know what I was here for.
Yeah.
And a quick and easy purpose. And I was just talking about this with my buddy earlier. A quick and easy purpose. If you feel lost and stuck in your life, think of something that you've gone through that was difficult.
Yeah.
And how you overcame that and became better. That is a lesson that you learned that was unique to you. It was a lesson and experience that was unique to you. Now, if you don't know what your purpose is, think about something that's unique to you that you've gone through and learned from, and pass that on to the world.
Yeah.
Open up on your social media. People say, I don't know what to post. I don't know this and that. Deliver value. Something that you've gone through could be helping somebody for all you know. And it's not about how many views you get. You do it for your purpose, and your purpose is to pass on information and speak your truth.
Yep.
And that's the biggest thing. And I like about you and I is we connected because we both like to speak our truth, and we're not afraid to post it out on social media because we don't know who out there needs to hear it.
Yeah.
And if you're stuck and you're lost in your life and you don't know what your purpose is, think of something that you've been through that could help somebody else and just deliver it.
100%.
Just give it, contribute to God, contribute to the world, contribute good things to the universe and to the world, and it will come back to you
100%.
times 10.
100%. And that's so important, dude. It's just everybody posts social media is like, it's amazing, life's great. No, it's not. Life fucking sucks, dude. Like, life is hard. So talk about it. Like, don't be this person that's like, oh yeah, life's awesome. Like, it's perfect all the time. It's not. Be realistic, you know? And when you do speak your truth, say you're hitting rock bottom, there's somebody else out there that is going to hear your truth and they feel alone, dude. Like, you felt alone. I felt alone. Everybody's felt alone. And if you speak your truth, somebody out there is going to connect with that, and they might need to hear it that day, bro. Like, you could literally save somebody's life by just speaking your truth. It sounds fucked up, but when you see it on Instagram, you see somebody else struggling, you're like, oh, I'm not the only one, you know? So if more people are open about their struggles and their lessons and the things that they're going through, it makes it not as bad for other people that are going through hard times and learning their lessons, you know, and it gives you more hope, and it just gives you that peace of mind. Like, it's going to be okay. You know, like, they're going through it. I'm not the only one going through it. And it can feel like that when you're going through shit. It can feel like you are the only one, like, taking the brunt of the impact, but that's simply not the case. Everybody's going through it, you know? So share your truth 100%.
Dude. And another thing is, like, a lot of people, like, if you're in a depressive state or you're in a lowest point in your life, a lot of people, including myself in the past, tend to sit in their own self-pity. But if you were depressed and you were in a low point in your life, and you were to take your focus off of yourself and your problems, and you went out and you gave others something and served others in some sort of way,
that's gonna make
you took that focus off of yourself and your problems because you're being selfish, really. You take that focus off of you and you go out and you contribute something good into the world, it's gonna cure your depression.
Straight up.
And another thing I believe in, because I was a victim of depression and anxiety, is it's kind of self-inflicted. I believe that it's a choice. But I do believe that you have to go through that and overcome it to realize that it was a choice all along. That we kind of choose to just sit in our own self-pity for a little bit.
Definitely.
Which is needed sometimes for us to learn the lessons.
To understand.
To understand it better.
For sure.
Right? But I believe that you can pull yourself out of depression if you really wanted to.
100%.
At any time. Because you have the power of God. I believe that we're infinitely powerful beings, and we have the power to create our reality and change the state that we're in.
Definitely.
So if we're in a state that we don't like, we can change it. We don't have to be stuck and limited to that state that we're in. And that's what going through depression has taught me, is I can change it. I don't have to be stuck in it. I don't have to wallow in my own self-pity. I can actually change that shit, grab the reins and take control of my life and decide a better outcome for myself.
100%. And the first thing is recognizing that. Like, if you don't recognize that, it's like kind of like if someone's an alcoholic. If they don't admit they're an alcoholic, they're going to be an alcoholic forever. But the minute they're like, dude, I got a problem. Like, I wake up, I'm an alcoholic, I got to drink. Once they admit that to themselves is the first step of, like, getting better, you know? So yeah, when you're depressed, recognize it. Yeah, I'm depressed. Why am I depressed? Why am I in this state? And start to change things. Start to change your daily routine. Start to do something different. Drive a different route to work. Wake up earlier. Go to the gym. Change what you're eating. Don't fucking eat McDonald's every day. Like, go eat some berries and some fruit. Like, you know, like,
change the music you're listening to.
Exactly.
Change the people you're hanging out with.
Exactly. So, and once you recognize that and you can see it and you start to change your patterns, you're going to start to see a different outcome and different opportunities and different doors open. You know, we've all done it. Everybody at home has seen it, but it's sometimes we overcomplicate and we make this whole thing complex when it's really just a lot more simple than that. And if you just stick to your guns and have a certain mindset and you go through certain routines and make decisions the same every time and, like, go through a certain, like, checklist, then that's the best way to, like, put you on a stable route. You know, once we start making unstable choices, we get unstable. You know, once you make stable choices, you get stable. It's like, I feel like the equation is so simple, but we all overcomplicate it so much. You know? And a lot of people don't want to talk about depression and anxiety and just going through hard times in life and how hard life can be. But it's important to have these conversations because everybody feels it right now, bro. We're living in a really, really hard time. It's a really easy time because we have an abundance of everything, but it's a really hard time because of that.
Right.
We're raised in an abundance, so we're so entitled to having the best world and the best life possible that I don't know, we get entitled for our lives, and when you have high expectations and you don't hit those expectations, it's a big letdown, you know? And I think a lot of people are living like that right now. When you get online, you compare your life to other people and you see this guy doing this amazing thing, but it's like, not everybody can live a life like that. And that guy has his problems too. He just doesn't talk about it or show it. He just shows the good sides of life. But I think what the world really needs right now is people just to talk, and people need to open up, and people need to let other people know that you're not alone. Yeah. Like we all go through it, bro. Like, and just feeling like you can relate with people and like you're not alone helps so much. It lifts the weights off the shoulders so much. And even if you are going through hell and you recognize that somebody else is going through hell, it almost inspires you to push even harder, because like you want to get out and you want them to get out too. So it's like, you always want to set examples for each other and like help push each other, because bro, a person in a hard place or with a weak mind or that is down in the dumps, it's really easy to push them farther down, you know?
Right.
And it's really messed up, because a lot of people will take advantage of that time in a person and they'll push them down. And it's like, it doesn't make sense to me. I've gone through it, you know, and I'm sure everybody has, and people that relate to this know what I'm saying. But it's like when you're down and you're easy to get down, there are certain people that take advantage of that, and they do it on purpose, and that's the evil side. Like that's the dark side. But then there's the good side of it, where there's people that recognize that, and they recognize that you need a little bit more you just need a little bit more love in that moment, and they'll give it to you, you know? And you really learn who the real ones are when you're low, you know?
For sure.
And you know who's fake when you're on the high note, because they'll come around. Yep. It's like whoever's around and you're low, that's the real one. When people start coming around because you're up high, those are the fake motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Because like where were you the whole fucking time? I was grinding.
Yeah.
I was hurting, bro. Where were you? Now I'm doing good. Now you want to show up? It's like, that's crazy, bro. Like if you're straight up like a real one, you got to be there for your people no matter what, you know? Yeah. And be there for those people. And if it's a type of person that's just negative, and no matter how much you're there for them and how much you've done for them and they're still in that state, you have to separate yourself. But if you show up for that person and that person shows interest in being better, then that's a real person that you want to keep in your life and that you want to work on, you know?
Hey.
The dog's like, yeah, one out.
Yeah. Dude, that was a great one. I appreciate that. Well, dude, I think we freaking nailed it, bro.
Hit some good points. I'd like to sit down and do it again sometime,
bro. 100%. Like we should do this again. And like, honestly, excuse me, bro, we should definitely do this again. And, bro, I kind of wanted to start doing this regularly. Like I love speaking. I love having good conversations with great people. I love taking this content, packaging it up, making a reel out of it, posting it out there, speaking my truth, playing our part in passing along the information that we've been given.
Yeah.
And yeah, man, it means a lot to me, and I freaking love that we're able to do this. And this conversation was sick, bro, and it flowed super naturally. So I think we're onto something, bro.
Oh, yeah.
Honestly, like whether we do more stuff in the future, filming some Harley stuff or doing more podcasts, like I think we should definitely make some more content or make something happen.
For sure. Yeah, I'm all about it, bro. Like it's we've all felt forced content, you know, and I hate that. I like to sit down and have a genuine conversation. Whatever comes from it, great. If nothing comes from it, all good. But it's cool that me and you can just sit here, two people sitting in your living room making a podcast, can have a conversation and potentially help some people from it. If one person hears a clip of this conversation or listens to this whole conversation and it gives them some hope or it helps them in any way or gives them more perception or gives them a different outlook on life or anything like that, then my job is done.
Yeah.
You know, and yours is too. So that's the biggest thing. We're here for a short amount of time. I'm here. I want to help people. I want to love people. I want to be loved. I want to have a good time. I want to smile. And I just want to live life, man. And I want to be able to spread love and spread messages to people and do what I love. I want to ride motorcycles and golf and hang out with my boys and go snowboard, you know, and that's pretty much it.
Dude, yes, sir. And if you like any of those things, go follow Get It Gary on Instagram. But until then, see y'all in the next one.
Hell yeah, brother. That was dope.
That was sick,
awesome.
bro.
Good shit.
Hey, Ferris. Yeah, I love that. I love that shit, man.